And the recording has started. So it's 10:02. We can get started now. We have quite a good audience here today. So, hey Haldeman, thank you for attending today's video editing webinar. Before we get started, again, I just wanted to let you know that the webinar will be recorded for future viewing. With that being said, if you want, you can feel free to leave your camera on if you're comfortable doing so. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them anytime during the presentation by either turning your microphone on or typing them in chat. So for today's agenda, we'll have a quick introduction to our DSS team, and then we'll move into an overview of why you should be using videos in your social media. I'll be showing you the free video editor, DaVinci, and then we're going to talk about a few differences between marketing and advertising, and we'll end off with putting together a short video. So, our team, the Digital Service Squad team, consists of myself, Chloe, and Bailey, who are in the chat. Feel free to ask them any questions, and they will let you know if you have any questions for me, and we can answer them from there. We've been working with our local businesses and a couple of you within Haldeman to improve the overall online experience of the community. We're always happy to help. So if you do have any questions about almost anything online, I'll have all of our contact information in the post-webinar email. So let's get into why videos. Videos are a digestible way for your audience to learn about your business, your product, or even yourself. It gives viewers an easy way to learn about anything that you're trying to post. And it makes sense because videos are something that they can watch and easily absorb compared to having to read a post and understand it from there. It just makes it a bit easier for your audience and helps you get your point across. Videos also give your posts a voice rather than just plain text. Whether it be through voiceovers or how the video is actually put together, videos can help invoke different emotions and feelings that can sway your audience one way or another. Videos also drive more engagement than photos. They almost force the viewer to stop scrolling for a second to watch the video and see what it's about compared to users scrolling to a photo and everything is already there. It only takes a few seconds for a viewer to digest a photo, but longer for them to understand a video as they actually have to focus on what's being shown. So this leads us to how exactly do we put the videos together. Personally, I've been using DaVinci Resolve. It's a free video editor that you can download to almost any computer. It has lots of different features within the one package. It has the different volume adjustments, color adjustments, and free effects that come with it. The best part is, a lot of these effects are included with the free version of DaVinci. So whether you're making simple or complex and intricate videos, it can all be done on DaVinci itself. Something I found with DaVinci is that there's different tabs for different purposes rather than other editors where it's just one screen and you do everything on that one screen. I'll give you a view of these tabs a bit later, but I did want to mention that DaVinci isn't the only option out there. There's plenty of other free video editors that you can use. Some of you had mentioned that you guys have used iMovie in the past. There's also Canva that you can use. It's also free. And there's the Samsung editor that you can get straight onto your phone. So these may be better for you if you want to put together something really quick on your phone and you don't have time to really dig into the video editing and go through the DaVinci process. So now for the difference between marketing and advertising. So the two words are often used interchangeably at times, but there is a difference between the two. Advertising is the more tangible aspect, and it's how you get the word out about your process, about your product, business, or yourself. It can be done through social media, showcases, print, and things like that. Whereas marketing is more of the social aspect, where you're creating a sense of need for your product. This typically entails looking into the design, creation, and research of a product to make the product seem like it's more than it actually is. So I wanted to mention that Apple does a really, really good job of this. On the left, you can see how they've created a photo that makes their phone look really high tech and futuristic. And on the right side is the actual phone. They're great with their product videos and their keynotes every year, and they really push the aspect of their product being top of the line and advanced. This just relates back to their marketing and how they really market their product to be super high end and something that you need to upgrade every single year. We can also showcase this through videos, and we can evoke different emotions like the need to buy a new product every single year. So we can get started on the actual DaVinci process, and I can show you how to actually put together your video, cut your clips, and do different things like that. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so here you can see what the DaVinci Resolve first interface looks like. So after you download it and you open it up, this is the screen that you'll see. It's pretty much all your previous projects, and you can create new projects and new folders from here. So with my example, I'll be creating a new project. And for the purpose of this webinar, I created a couple pre-edited clips that will be a part of the post-webinar email so that you can look back at this video once I send it, and you can kind of follow along with your own process. So for this, I used a pair of Haldeman branded sunglasses. And then once you put your name in, you can click create. So I'll start off with showing you the different tabs. So the first one on the bottom left-hand corner is the media tab. So this is the tab where you can go through your different hard drives or your computer and find the different clips that you wanted. So say I had it on my hard drive, I can click on hard drive and see all the folders here, and I can drag and drop them into this bottom media pool. This is where you'll see all of your clips and what clips you added to this project. In this top right-hand side, you can see the playback head, so you can actually preview the clips before you add them in. This gives you a sense of what you're actually adding into your video and what it kind of looks like. So the second tab on the bottom left is the cut tab. This is where you'll be doing a good portion of your editing. This is where you can put all your clips in order, trim them down a bit, add different titles, transitions, and things like that. So in the top left, you can see the media pool that you can drag the clips into your timeline with, the sync bin,
Leo,
the different.
Leo, Bill says that he doesn't see the screen.
Is anyone else having this problem? Can anyone else see the screen?
I can see the screen.
I can see the screen.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Okay. Well, I'm not too sure what's happening with that. If you try and refresh the meeting, maybe that might help you be able to see it. Yeah. So the presentation will be recorded, so I will send it to you afterwards. But if you can try restarting your Zoom, maybe that might help. And then if you do have questions, I can answer them afterwards. Or if you can send me an email, or I'll reach out to you, and then we can kind of go over the things that you might have missed during the presentation.
Okay, if you never mind, you said you're going to send us the video?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
the recording.
so you have our emails, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So continuing on, there's in the top left-hand corner, you can see the transition tabs. These are all different video transitions. So this is what I was talking about earlier. DaVinci has plenty of different transitions that you can add in, and all of them are free. And then right beside transitions, there's the titles tab. Again, DaVinci has plenty of free titles for you to use so that you don't have to go in and create your own. And then finally, there's the different effects for the video and audio. So you can change how your voice sounds and how the picture actually looks. The next tab, closer to the middle, which is the third one, is the edit tab. This is where you can dig deeper into the different clips and do different effects and change them how you want them to be. So again, it's similar to the cut tab where in the top left, you have your media pool. It looks a little bit different in here, but it's pretty much the same. You have your media pool, your effects library. Here they break all the effects into one category. So you have the video, audio, titles, and the regular effects, and then open effects. If you guys know how to do some of those, it's a bit more complex. Then it has your edit index and sound library. On the right-hand side, you can see that there is the mixer, so you can see the different volumes and how high the sound is, the different metadatas, and the inspector. The inspector is one of the main things you will be using in this edit tab. This is where you do the major edits and you can rotate your text or change the words and things like that. I also wanted to mention the couple different cut options. So it has the razor and two different other trimmers here. And then there's the magnets and the different flags and markers that you can put. One difference from the cut to the edit tab is on the edit tab, you can actually zoom in to your video, which can be helpful if you really want to get down to the exact frame that you want to cut out. So the next tab is the Fusion tab. Again, it's on the bottom. Here you go. This one is a bit more complex, so I won't be covering it. If you do have questions about it, I can answer them afterwards. This is for very more technical and in-depth editing of your videos. And this webinar is more for an introduction to DaVinci. So if you do have questions, again, you can send me an email or reach out and then I can help you from there. The next tab is the color tab. This is where you can change the actual appearance of your image. You can make it brighter, darker, change the levels, add different blur effects. This again is a bit more complex, so I won't be covering it today. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. And the next one beside that is the Fairlight tab. This is pretty much the music tab where you can see all the different levels of your different clips once you add them in. Things like that. You can see the different meters, metadata, and you can actually edit them from here as well. But you can also do it in the regular edit tab. And then the last tab on the bottom right is the deliver tab. So once you have your video all complete, this is where you go to export the video. You can do the file name, locations, and then the actual format of the file and the resolution. So that was a quick overview of DaVinci, so we can get started on actually putting a short video together. So I have some pre-edited clips that I can put into my media pool. Again, we're in the media tab on the bottom left. So we can click and drag it over and just drop it into the media pool. So like I was talking about earlier, you can see a bit of a preview of the actual clips within the media tab, where you can see what happens in the video and what's actually playing. So we have all our clips in, we can move over to the cut tab. So this is where we can enter in our clips again. So we go back to the media pool on the top left, and then I've numbered all my clips in order, just so that when you try it for yourself, you'll know exactly what order you have to put it in. It's also helpful if you do this with your own videos, so that way you don't get jumbled on, oh, what was I gonna put first? Or, oh, what is the last clip I wanted to use? It just makes everything a bit easier, and it's just a little bit of pre-planning that you can do. So we can go ahead and drag our clip into the timeline. So if you notice here, there's actually two timelines. The bottom one is the more specific timeline, and the top one is more of a broad overview. So we have our first clip in. You can add your clips to both timelines. So say you're at the very start of this clip, you want to add it behind this one. You can just go to the overall one and drag it and drop it behind, and it'll show up here. We can rinse and repeat for the other couple clips. So 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So now all of our footage is in. And you can see it back by pressing the play button or just scrolling on your timeline itself. So in this video, I had a coin and it's gonna magically turn into a box with the power of video editing. And then we can open up the package and then we get a bit of a view of the sunglasses itself. And it's a super simple video because I did just want to show you how to go through this process, but you can add a lot more video clips and different things to this. So we can get started with the actual edit of the video. So here I wanted the effect of the coin turning into the box, but to stop the coin, I had to put my hand in and physically stop it. So this is not what we want. We want to make sure that we cut it to exactly where my hand enters the frame. That would be right here. So there's a couple different ways to actually cut the clip. The first one would be in the cut tab where you line up this red playhead and you right click, and then you can click split. Then it splits the clip into 2. So this part doesn't have the hand, this part does. And then once you have this, you click on it and press backspace or delete to get rid of it. Another way you can do it is actually if you go to the exact spot, you can click, and if you see this little icon with the bar and then the kind of the bracket, you click and drag it over to the exact spot. That's all done in the cut tab. So there's 2 ways to do it here. And then on this side, you can see that we want the frame that the box is actually spinning in. So it looks more like a seamless transition. So again, we can go to the spot where the box starts spinning and my hand is out of the scene. So it'd be right here. The second way I wanted to show you how to cut the clip is actually in edit. So here we can see our timeline. This is where the zooming in would be super handy because you can zoom into the exact spot and get a really good idea of where your hand is in the shot. So in edit, there's this razor tool on the left-hand side. It's called the blade edit mode. You can click on that and then go to the exact area your playhead is and then click there. And now you can see that the clip is similar to what we did in cut. It's split into 2 different clips. The part with us starting to spin it and then the part with the box just spinning on its own. So we can go ahead and similar to the cut tab, click on the clip and press delete. So now you can see that there's a bit of a gap here. This is what happens if you're cutting and deleting within edit. Once you go back to a cut, there's going to be this blank box. It just shows that you took something out of that scene and that you could replace it with something else. So for this purpose, I can just go ahead and delete that. And now the starting of our video is more seamless and we know how to cut. Before I move on to a couple other things, does anyone have any questions about cutting your clips? If you do have any questions, sorry?
So you can cut it like a specific part and take it out, or we can put it, the cut part, we can add some other thing.
Yeah, so like what I was talking about in the edit tab, if I just do that. So before we had a clip like this and we cut it, right? And we take this part out in edit. So now when we go back to cut, there's this blank box that if I wanted to say add the Haldeman logo to it, I can click it from the media pool and drag it over and it'll fill that area. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, and then how to take out the empty pool? Just delete it?
This, yeah, so you click on it and then press backspace or delete and then it's gone.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Great question. Does anyone else have any questions before I move on?
But only thing I see it, you have these videos when you join together. Do you have like a vertical and the other way, the two-way we can take the videos, right? Can you change it, split it when you put it in YouTube? So you can only take it one way.
Yeah, so that's actually the next thing I wanted to talk about. It's if you film your video portrait mode instead of landscape.
But this one, when you joining the videos, like normally other thing, when you joining videos, you don't need, one is virtual, one is the other way. You don't need to do it when in here, when you joining.
No, so you don't have to do it in here, but you can make it so that you rotate it so it's landscape and it takes up the whole screen rather than being just straight.
Okay, so I can join videos like one is landscape, one is virtual or anything, and then I can do it later.
Yeah, so you can throw it all in here and I'll show you exactly how to rotate it afterwards.
Okay.
Typically for shooting videos, I'd say landscape is a lot better so that you can capture more of the actual sides of the video and what's going on rather than portrait. But if you're posting on social media, maybe that might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So if all your clips are portrait, you can for sure put it as portrait. But if you have a mix of the two, I'd say go with the landscape view.
Okay, so you have an option you will show us, right?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just about to get into that.
Okay.
Okay. So like we were just talking about, I accidentally filmed this portrait mode and the rest of my video is landscape. Again, I would recommend filming in landscape. This makes everything a lot easier and a lot better. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so this video is in portrait. So to fix this, we can head over to our edit tab. And then like I was saying earlier, the inspector is where we can make all these different changes. So to make the change, we click on the clip, which is labeled number 3, and we can see in the playhead. And then on the right-hand side, you can see all the different options. So there's zooming, positioning, and rotation, which is what we want. So we see it's vertical and we want to change it to landscape, which is a 90-degree rotation. So now it's the right way, it's landscape, but it's a bit too small. So this is where the zoom comes in handy, where we can click, either we can type in a value, say it's at 1 right now, we can type in 2 and it zooms it in, or we can just drag the slider so it matches our frame. So now we went from our portrait video to a landscape video. Does anyone have any questions about the inspector or rotating it? Or I can repeat it if you guys didn't follow or anything like that.
If it's in portrait and then you put it into landscape, what if not all the top of it fits onto the landscape? What if some of it gets cut off then?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. That's why we have the zoom option. So when I first rotated it, you can see how there's black bars around the video itself. And that doesn't look good because all our other clips are the full screen and then it goes into this, which might not look as good to our audience. So we do use the zoom to make it fit the square. And then say it doesn't fit and there's still a little bit of a gap, say it's very, very slim and it doesn't fill up the whole screen, you can actually use the position, so the X and the Y, to adjust that. So the X moves it horizontally. If I want it on half the screen or the other half, I can do that. Or if I want it a bit higher, I can go positive on the Y, or lower would be negative on the Y. Does that make sense? Does that
Yeah.
answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
For sure. Does anyone else have any questions?
Leo, Zoe has written in the chat, is it possible to do a gradual zoom so that the zoom effect is part of the finished video?
Yeah, you can do that. It's a bit more, how do I say this? It's a bit more complex. I can show you it towards the end, but it involves these different what they call keyframes. And you set a keyframe and then you go to the part where you want it to be zoomed in. You set another keyframe and then another zoom at the end. If you remind me, I can show you how to do it at the end. It's fairly simple, but I did want to keep this webinar a bit more introductory and basic.
Just a quick question, and it may seem really dumb, but when you videoed it accidentally in portrait and you go to flip it to horizontal in here, if you were videoing a person, do they turn sideways or do they remain upright?
They would turn sideways, but instead of, maybe if you're filming a person portrait and you wanted to fill the whole square, maybe you can just use the zoom option. So then that way it's just closer in, and then the person is still upright and talking to the camera.
Does that mean then you cut some of them off? Some of it will be cut off then?
Yes, but that's why we do have the different positions. So if, say, the top part of their face is cut off, we can move it down a bit so that we can actually see their face and the top of their forehead. Or if it's too much to the left or too much to the right, you can adjust it with the position.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to this position a bit later on because we do have another clip that we have to fix with the position. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, I'll move forward and then you can type them in chat and Bailey and Chloe will let me know. So now that we've fixed our box opening and it's the right way, we can look at the other clips. So a couple of these I pre-edited so we can just streamline this process a bit more. So now we can start back to start and play back our video. So we have our coin. It's rotating, and then it turns into a box. The problem with this is it turns into a box really quick. So let me play it in live time and you'll be able to see. Yeah, so you can barely recognize that the box actually stops. So a way that we can fix this is by slowing the clip down. This one is a little bit more difficult, but it's something I thought that everyone should know how to do because it could be more helpful than a couple other of the features in DaVinci. So we can find the spot that we want. So right here, the box is facing the front. We can, again, like before, split the clip by lining up the playhead and right-clicking and then clicking split. So now you can see that it's two different clips, one with the box spinning and then one with it more stuck. So if we click on this, and then we're in the cut tab, and if we click on this, and then the tools button by the playback head on the left-hand side, you can click on tools and it brings up a couple of different tools. There's the cropping, the different sound and speed, camera stabilization, and a couple other things. So what we want is the speed. So obviously the higher the speed, the shorter the clip and the faster it will go. The lower the speed, the longer the clip. So we wanted to slow this down so we can either click and drag over, or we can enter in a value for the clip. So say I wanted 0.1. Now our video is a little bit longer and we can drag it over to see. So when you play it back, you can see the coin is spinning, the box is spinning, and then it pauses on the box, which is what we want. So people can see that, oh, it's a box and not just something randomly spinning on their screen. So we can go here and say this box opening is a bit too long. Again, we can do the same thing and speed it up by clicking on the clip to the tools and then increasing the speed to say 1.5 times speed. The clip actually visually gets shorter on the timeline, so it's an easy way to kind of know if your clip actually sped up or not. So we can play this back. And the box opening is a lot faster now. Then we have a couple shots of the sunglasses themselves. And then that's the end of our video. But say we're actually posting this on our Facebook or our Instagram. We want to make sure that they know that it's us and where they can find the product. This is where we can add in the different titles and background pictures. So the one thing with DaVinci that's different to iMovie, because I know a couple of you guys have used it, is DaVinci does not provide you backgrounds. You'll have to get either a white or black or different colors or different backgrounds that you want by yourself and then import it into DaVinci. So for this webinar, I just chose a simple white background. We can add this in like a regular clip. So we go to the media pool again on the top left, click and drag it into our timeline. So it goes from the sunglasses to the white screen. So now we can add in our logo, which I also have preloaded.
Leo, there's a question from CC. Why is there so much blank space above where we see the video stream at the bottom of your screen? It seems like a lot of unused real estate on the screen.
Are you talking about this area right here? Or
Yes.
this area? So that's something interesting that DaVinci does. It's similar to other editors. So do you see how I added in this second clip? Now the clips are on top of each other. And the more clips I add on top, the more layers you'll see here. And then it pushes it down so that you can see all the layers at once. Does that kind of answer the question? If you want, you can also make it a bit shorter or bigger, just based on your personal preference and what you like to see more, either the playback or the actual timeline.
She says that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Delete this. Yeah, it's more just an aesthetic thing. So we have our sunglasses and then it goes into the background with our logo. Again, we can see here that it's a bit too big. So we'll go back to the cut on the bottom tabs and then we can click on our background and you can see that the background actually doesn't fill up the whole screen. So similar to the other video, we can just zoom it in so it fills up the whole screen. And then same thing with the Haldeman logo. It's a little bit too big for my liking. It takes up more than the screen and you won't be able to add text to it. So we can click on the Haldeman logo tab and then just zoom it out until we think it looks good. So I think that's perfect. But we did want to add text to the screen. So having the logo in the middle doesn't really work with that. So this is where we go back to the position. So it's a bit too high up, so I can take y and either input a negative amount, so -10, and I'll move it down just a little bit, or we can click and drag it all the way over and until we're happy with how low it is. And if you wanted to move it left or right, it's the position on the X. The easy way to reset it is just to click this circle and it'll reset both values. So if I did that, it would reset it to the middle, but we still wanted the Y, so we can move it back down a bit. Okay. So we have our logo and the background in, and now we can add some text. So if we go back to the cut screen, we can see that there's a titles tab in the top left-hand corner. If we click on that, it brings up all the different titles. So starting with the basic ones and then goes into their fusion ones, which have the 3D and the ones that kind of move. I would recommend staying away from the 3D titles. It really slows down your video and they don't really look the best. But this is, again, personal preference. So you can look for the different title that you'd like and then add it from there. Personally, I like the title center review. So I can click on that and drag it over to the timeline. And going back to the question we had earlier, this is where like the real estate starts getting taken up, especially if you have clip on top of even more clips. So we can see that we added our title in, but we can't actually see it and it's not there. This is because DaVinci automatically sets the text to white when we insert the titles. So to fix this, again, we're going back into the edit tab. This code. And then clicking on the layer itself. So the title center reveal. Here you can see the different word options that DaVinci gives for you. So you can change what the text says, the font, the boldness, the size, the type of text, if you want it to be an image or a gradient, as well as the color. So first we'll start off with changing the color. You can either click on this little box and it'll bring it up right here. or you can just simply drag it on this itself. And that wasn't the right one. Put this back. Okay. So let's just use this one because the other one doesn't seem to be working how we wanted. Okay, and now since we put it to black, you can see that we can actually see our title now, which is great. So for the first text, I may want to write what the product was. So all demand sun glasses. Now, so with just the basic text, we can see that it takes up the whole screen and it's all in one line. That's another thing with DaVinci. You have to separate the sentences and the lines by yourself. So doing this is pretty easy. All you have to do is go back to the main text and find where you actually want to start the new line, then click enter. And then that way it breaks it up into 2 lines of text rather than just the one really long line of text that doesn't fit our screen. So we have our text in, we can change the font. So if I wanted this font, I can change it. Oh, that's not good. So I think DaVinci just crashed, but it was pretty easy to change the font. All you have to go to was the font settings and then select the font that you wanted, and then it'll automatically change it from there. And then it also comes preloaded with a lot of different fonts that you can use again for free. You just have to go through and find the one that fits your video and the one that you actually like. Okay, so our video crashed, but I have this one that I can continue from. Here we go. This one's a bit further into where we were going.
Okay, I have a question. If it is some time when we edit like this and then clash, like one of something happened, do we start to start over everything, or we can start it from what? Is it anything? It's auto save anything?
No, it doesn't autosave. I know iMovie does. So to save it, you go to File up here and then Save Project.
Okay, so
Unlike
if in
me,
case in between something happened, we lose everything.
yeah. So you want to save whenever you do anything major. I would have saved it, but just for the speed of the webinar, I just went ahead. But you do want to make sure you're saving everything so that if that does happen to you, you don't lose hours and hours of work.
Okay, okay, thanks. Is this app is handphone or laptop?
It's just for your desktop.
Okay, so I have a problem normally. When we have it in desktop, we have a big videos. It's hard to send it to the phone. Do you have any options for that?
Do you mean sending it from your phone to your computer or from the computer to your phone?
Computer to phone or email. If it is a big video, we cannot email it.
Yeah, so that's dependent on the size of the video itself. When you make videos, are you posting it on Facebook and like Instagram and things like that?
Yeah, and then YouTubes and sometimes WhatsApp groups and things and that. So I really need to go to my video, my phone. So if I edit it in my computer, so I have a problem. I cannot do it to send it to my phone or email or something. So do you have any option? The big videos, how to send it to phone?
Yeah, so either if you're posting it to your Facebook or Instagram, you can post it through your computer through the Facebook Business Suite or just through regular Facebook posting. As for sending it, it may be a bit more difficult because again, it is a large file, you can't really email it. But one thing that I found is, do you have an iPhone by any chance?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so if you have iCloud, you can upload it to your iCloud and then you can access that iCloud from your iPhone.
Okay, from this video, I can just put it in iCloud?
Yeah. So you can save the video to your computer, upload it to your iCloud, and then from there you can access it from your phone if you have access to that iCloud on your phone.
Okay. Other than that, it's hard, right? You don't have any in this program. Don't have any zip videos or something.
No.
Zip.
Okay. So picking up where we left off.
Leo, I have a question, sorry, in chat.
Yeah.
So it's just if I think just given that DaVinci crashed, someone's just asking if DaVinci is a better choice than Final Cut Pro, and if this is what you would recommend using.
Final Cut Pro does cost money. That's the only reason I really use DaVinci, because it's free and it gives me similar options to Final Cut. But if it's a problem with your computer, it'll probably crash regardless. You just have to make sure you save your videos ahead of time, and whenever you finish something, go File, Save, and then Save Project. I'm not sure if that answered your question. Okay. Continuing on. So like I said, we selected our font, it's that one. And then our text is still a bit too big. So we can go over right below font, and we can actually drag our text size to make it smaller or even bigger if for some reason we wanted that. But this is a good size for us because it fills up the screen and it gets our point across. I think there's another question in the chat. Yes, thank you. If it's open software, DaVinci, is there any security risk on using it on? Are you talking about like people getting into your computer and things like that, or like? Okay, so it's similar to any other editor. If your computer does have a virus and things like that, people will be able to access it. But other than that, DaVinci is great. I've never had any problems with any viruses or anything like that. Yeah, for sure. Great question. So now going back here, oh, looks like we have one more. For sure, thank you. Yeah, so going back here, we have that our sunglasses are available now, but we should also add a location where they can find it. So we can either do this by adding another text and doing it from scratch again, or if we click on it and copy it over, drag our playhead over to the end and paste, it'll paste the exact same text. And then you can see that it's black because we don't have the background and the logo isn't there. So we can actually shift click the two and then drag them to match up with our new layer of text. So it says Haldeman sunglasses now available. And then since it's a fusion text, there is a couple of effects. So if it goes out, then Haldeman sunglasses now available again. This is great because we don't have to go through setting the different font and the color and the size again. We can just go ahead and type. So we can type where they can actually find the sunglasses. So we can say, for more information, space, please visit space haldemancounty.ca. And now our text is in and our audience knows where to actually find our sunglasses. So if we go back to cut, we can see the broad overview of the video. This one is missing a bit of the things that we did before just because it didn't have it. But this is where it would have been cut. And then this is where it would have shown up and slowed down right here. And then this would have been landscape. And then we have our sunglasses, a couple more views of our sunglasses, and then our ending screen. But I found that with this transition from the sunglasses to the ending screen, it's a bit harsh. So what we can do to make it easier for our audience is add a transition. So if we're in the cut tab, we can go to the top left corner to transitions and click, and it'll show us the different transitions. Like I mentioned before, you're gonna have to do a bit of playing around to see which one you like and which one matches the videos. But typically I like using the cross dissolve one. So it's similar to adding a clip in. So if you click and drag over to the image, it'll show up here. And you can see that the Haldeman logo actually fades in really nicely. So if we try and do it for the bottom one, you can see that it's not letting us do it. This is because there's nothing for DaVinci to actually let us dissolve, because this is the very end of the clip. There's nothing past that point. So a way to fix this is, again, we can either split the clip, cut the clip, or trim the clip. So we can do that. Click on the very end, drag it over a bit. And if you see that little white box that was just there, that shows you how much of the clip overlaps now. It doesn't actually overlap, it's just how much of the clip is left over that we took out. So since we've taken out a small portion of that, you can try it again. You can go to cross dissolve and drag it over, and we can see it now works because we have that overlap in the clip, and the end of the clip wasn't the entire end of the clip. So we have that in. You can actually adjust the length of the transitions by sliding it over, making it shorter to make it shorter, or further out to make it a longer transition. For consistency, if you're doing 2 different layers with the same transition, you should make them the same size so they come in at the same time. But here you can see it's slowly fading in, and then right at the end of that transition, it's the regular view. So to end off the video, we may want to do this again. So we can go ahead and get our cross dissolve for our Haldeman logo, as well as the background, and shorten it to about right here. And that way our video ends with a black screen. So a couple other things I wanted to show you guys really quickly, because we're running a little bit out of time, is that with your clips, there is audio with it. And if you wanted, you can increase or decrease the volumes of it. Say for this, I have the sound of me opening the box. I don't like it. I can click on it in the edit tab. We can click on it and then go to the top right inspector once again. And then there's actually 2 tabs here. The first one is the video tab, where we were able to rotate it and zoom it in. And then there's the audio tab, where you can actually change the volume. So we can make it louder if you wanted, or quieter, or 0 if you drag it all the way to the left. And then if you say wanted to do this with several clips, you can click and drag over in the timeline, and then go back into the audio tab on the top right inspector, and then drag this over. And say I wanted the volume for these 2 clips. I can do the same thing. I can click and drag, go back into the audio and increase it to say 10. And then the audio would be louder, and this wouldn't have any audio at all. This is helpful if you want to add music to it. Like I said earlier, music can help invoke different emotions and the way people feel about a product. So we can go back to our media pool in the top left and click and drag our music over. So the only thing with this is we should find a spot in the video that we want to add the music to. Say we have our coin spinning. This. So once our coin is done spinning and the box is stopped, I think that would be a good part of the video to add in our music, because this way it's a bit of a introduction to the product overview and what the product is. So the music would fit great with the different clips of us showing the sunglasses. So it's similar to adding the regular clips in, but the only difference is, you see when we drag it over, it actually goes below the picture.
Leo, we have some questions on suggestions on where to get the music.
Yeah.
And if we have to pay for it.
Yeah, give me 1 minute. I will address all of those in 1 second. I'm almost done with the webinars, just in case people are more time sensitive and have to go. But we have all our audio in. Say it's too loud, we can click on the clip again, go back into our edit tab, click on it again. And then since it's only an audio track, you can only adjust the volume, because you can't really adjust where the audio track is in the video, because it's not actually in the video, it's just the sound. So say we wanted to turn it down, we can go to -10. And then towards the end, you can see that the audio goes past where our video actually goes. So to fix this, we can zoom in, go to the end of our video, and then line up our playhead, and then go to the razor, and then split. And just like we did in the beginning with the clips, we click on the stuff we don't want, delete, and it's gone. So once we're done our video, we can go into the bottom right tab, the delivery tab. And then from here is when we're ready to export our video and save it as an actual video file and not a DaVinci file. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there's the different formats you can export it to. And you can do it to YouTube or your own custom, Vimeo, ProRes, different things like that. So we can name our video Alderman Sunglasses 2, because I have one saved already, and then the location of it. So if you want to save it to your desktop, a specific folder, or like my situation, I have it on a hard drive, you can select it here by clicking browse and then picking where you want it. And then if you scroll down a bit, there's again the format. When you typically want to do your videos, you want to use MP4 and not QuickTime, because QuickTime doesn't open on Windows computers and things like that. MP4 can be read by any computer or phone. So we'll click on MP4. Resolution, I would stick with the 920 by 1080 HD. This gives you a good quality video without taking up too much space. So we can go ahead and click that. And then once we have all our settings in, we can click add to render queue. So it shows up here as in the render queue. This is just the settings that we wanted to render as. So we can click on this render and then click start render. And then our video will start exporting. It takes longer depending on how long your video is, but the shorter the video, the shorter the time it takes. Like my video is already at about 20% and I clicked it 2 seconds ago maybe. And yeah, that's all for DaVinci video editing. So what were the questions that I missed? I believe there are a couple questions. Let me check back in.
So the questions were about where to get the music and whether you have to pay for the music.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, actually. Thank you, Laura, for asking it. I was going to mention it, but it slipped my mind. So with music in videos, I would say you have to be really careful about where you're actually getting the music from, because people do have copyright on their music. And if you say use it for an advertisement, you could get sued or the video could get taken down. A way to get free music would be, one, if you knew how to create it yourself, you can go ahead and do that. Two, yeah. Two, you can actually find them on YouTube. If you search up copyright free music, you can search that up and then look through there. Be careful, you have to look into the descriptions of the video itself to make sure it's actually copyright free and you can use it for yourself. The audio that I used in this one that you weren't really able to hear was from a website called Ben Sound. There's a couple different options on there where you can download the music and use it for free for certain purposes. It's like, I know with that website, you can't use it for podcasts, or if you're remixing it, you can't use it. But for simple videos that you just want to play the music, it's perfectly fine.
So you're saying the music from your app, we cannot use it for YouTube video?
It depends on the music. So say it's made by a really popular artist and you're using it to advertise.
No. I'm asking from your app, the one you send it. So is there any pre-recorded music?
From DaVinci?
Yeah.
Yeah, so DaVinci doesn't have music preloaded. That sound that I had was one that I downloaded ahead of time from the Ben Sound website. And I will send the link in the chat in just a second. And then another thing with using other people's music is a lot of times they'll ask you to how do you say this, reference that they had their music in your video. So you just have to say music from this website or music by this person. It really depends on who you're getting the music from.
Normally, like I use it iPhone, iMovie or thing. So they have some music, just not the real music, just the music. So those one we can use it for YouTube video. That's why I asked, like the music you have it, maybe we can use it.
Yeah. So with iMovie, you can use their music because it's copyright free and they're providing you with it.
Yeah. So the one you have it, we cannot use it. That's my question.
So with the video editor I have, it doesn't have the preloaded music, but if you take it over from iMovie, you should be able to use it, yes.
That's a problem because that's the problem, right? Because the video is big and then we send it to iMovie, we cannot put the music, then we need to have two apps, right? So is it any way you have some preloaded music in future? Then we can use it because I don't want to use it two apps. Think about it. It is in your app and then it goes to another app. So we need to send it back and forth to the phone and the computer, and the file is big. It's hard though, right?
Yeah, for sure. I understand what you mean. That's why I sent the link to the website I got the music from. It has a couple different free options, and then you go to the website and you can download it straight to your computer. And then you can insert it all through one app and not have to send it to your phone and then send it back and then send it one more time to just upload it.
And your app do that have we can record our voice?
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit more complicated to do it in DaVinci, but if you remember the Fairlight tab, which was the little music icon, you can actually record it from there. Either you can do that, or something that I like to do is I record it on my phone. I have a little microphone that clips onto your collar. I don't have it right here, but you can connect that to your phone and then record it from there and then send it over. Or you can record it straight to your computer. If you have a microphone on your computer, you can go into the DaVinci music logo tab, and then there's a place where you can do your own voiceovers.
Thank you. So when we do in future we do something, if we have any problem or complication, can we email you directly and you arrange a Zoom meeting one-on-one or something in future?
Of course you can. Yeah, we're all here to help. If there's anything concerning videos, I can for sure help you with. I'll be sending you an email with the couple information as well as the recording of the webinar. And then it should have my email address. If you have any questions, you can give me a call or send me an email. And I can help you from there one-on-one through Zoom.
Awesome.
Okay. For sure. Thank you everyone for coming. One more thing I wanted to mention was where is this? So again, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed. We do have a survey at the end of the webinar. If you guys can please fill it out, it just helps us plan future ones to see what you guys are interested in or what you guys want to learn more about, as well as give some feedback about all of us that performed and presented for you guys. And to end off, again, I'll be sending the recording uploaded to YouTube for you guys to see in future use. I'll also have this slide deck in case you want to refer back to it. And I'll have the pre-edited clips that you can look back at and follow along on your own time. Within the slide deck, there's also a couple helpful links. So if you want to learn more about that point of marketing versus advertising that I talked about, or why videos over images in Facebook, as well as the link to the DaVinci website itself.
Also, keep your eyes out. We will be having some more webinars coming along shortly. So we'd love to see you all there in the near future.
Yep. So I will stop the recording now. I'll stick around for a